Most believers think gratitude is simple. We receive a blessing, we say thank you to God, and then we move on. But the Bible takes us much further. It does not present gratitude as a simple emotional reaction. It places it in the language of sacrifice. And that word changes everything. Because a sacrifice costs something. A sacrifice requires commitment. A sacrifice reveals what we truly value. So if gratitude is a sacrifice, it means it is not just a word, but a deep spiritual act. That is why this question must be taken seriously. Is gratitude truly a sacrifice? The language of gratitude in the Bible. In our modern vocabulary, saying thank you is often quick. We thank almost out of habit. But in the Bible, thanksgiving carries much greater weight. It expresses memory, recognition, honor given to God, and the awareness that every good thing comes from Him. To give thanks is to recognize that we are not self-sufficient. It is refusing to take credit for what God has given. In that sense, gratitude already becomes an act of faith. It fights pride, corrects forgetfulness, and refocuses the heart. That is precisely why God never considered it secondary. The context of Leviticus. To understand this truth, we must go back to Leviticus. In this book, God organizes the spiritual life of Israel through various sacrifices. Each one responds to a specific need: sin, consecration, fellowship, worship.
Then we shall give it to him.
Among them is the thanksgiving offering, connected to the peace offerings.
Then we shall give it
This
to him.
detail is crucial,
Mountain demands a price
because
only
this
the council
sacrifice
can
was
pay.
not centered
Then
on
we shall
guilt,
give it to him.
but on gratitude.
Mountain demands a
It was
price
not
only the
driven by
council
fear,
can pay.
but by
Then we shall
recognition.
give it to him.
This means
Mountain
God does
demands a
not only
price only
expect
the
us to come
council
to
can
Him for
pay.
forgiveness,
Then we shall give it to
He
him.
also expects us to come to Him to acknowledge His goodness. Why call it a
Mountain
sacrifice?
demands a price only the
But
council
why
can
use the
pay.
word
Then we shall
sacrifice?
give it to him.
Because in
Mountain
biblical
demands a
thinking,
price only the
giving
council
thanks
can
is
pay.
not just
Then
speaking.
we shall give it to
It
him.
involves a deliberate, visible, sincere, and committed action. A sacrifice is something we bring, something we offer, something that reflects an inner cost. Saying thank you when everything is going well is easy, but recognizing God deeply, consistently, and faithfully requires a trained heart. The Thanksgiving offering teaches us that true gratitude does not come only from comfort. It comes from awareness, and that awareness itself becomes an offering to God. The elements of the sacrifice. In Leviticus, this sacrifice was not vague. It had a form, a structure, and specific elements. It included an offering, but also bread, and even sharing within a context of fellowship. This teaches us something powerful.
The mountain demands a
Biblical
price only the
gratitude is
council
not
can
only
pay.
vertical,
Then we
it is
shall give
also
it to him.
relational. It connects a person to God, but it also impacts the community. A grateful person does not only transform their prayer, they transform their environment. Where thanksgiving exists, the atmosphere changes, fellowship deepens, and the goodness of God becomes visible. God's purpose. The purpose of this sacrifice was clear: to teach the people not to forget God. Spiritual forgetfulness is one of the greatest dangers of faith. Many cry out to God in distress, then fall silent in abundance. The Thanksgiving sacrifice interrupted that pattern. It reminded the people, do not forget the source of what you have received. Thus, gratitude was not only a reaction to blessing, it became a discipline of memory. And this discipline protected the heart from self-sufficiency. A grateful people remain dependent on God, and ungrateful people begin to believe they are self-made. Gratitude and the human heart. This is where the subject becomes personal, because gratitude reveals the true condition of the heart. Two people can receive the same blessing. One humbles themselves and gives thanks. the other becomes used to it and takes it for granted. Thanksgiving is therefore not only connected to what we receive, but to how we interpret what we receive. A grateful heart sees the hand of God. An ungrateful heart sees only the event. That is why gratitude is spiritually powerful. It trains the inner vision. It teaches us to recognize God not only in miracles, but also in daily provision. The transition to Christ. With Jesus Christ, the old sacrificial system finds its fulfillment. The perfect sacrifice has been offered once and for all. Does that mean Thanksgiving disappears? No, it does not disappear. It is transformed. What once passed through rituals and physical offerings now flows through a life shaped by gratitude. The New Testament does not reduce gratitude. It deepens it, expands it, and internalizes it. In Christ, Thanksgiving is no longer just an occasional act. It becomes a lifestyle. The New Testament and spiritual sacrifice. The New Testament continues this language. It speaks of a sacrifice of praise, the fruit of lips that confess God's name. We no longer come with animals, but with our words, our faith, our hearts, our lives. Here is the continuity. The sacrifice remains, but its form changes. Today, when a believer thanks God sincerely, when they worship in difficulty, when they honor God instead of complaining, they offer something spiritually valuable. Gratitude becomes an invisible offering, yet very real before God. Why this message is urgent today? This message is especially urgent today. We live in an age of impatience, comparison, and dissatisfaction. Even blessings quickly become ordinary. Many ask for much, but thank very little. A heart that forgets how to give thanks eventually loses sensitivity to God. Ingratitude is not just a moral weakness. It becomes a spiritual danger. It dries up worship, burdens prayer, and weakens awareness of God's presence. That is why rediscovering gratitude as a sacrifice is not a luxury, it is a necessity. What gratitude produces. When gratitude is real, it produces powerful results. It brings peace because it shifts focus from lack to God's faithfulness. It produces joy because it awakens the memory of blessings received. It cultivates humility because it reminds us that we depend on God. It strengthens faith because a heart that remembers what God has done finds it easier to trust what He will do. Gratitude is not an addition to the Christian life. It is one of its hidden engines. Final call. So, is gratitude a sacrifice? The biblical answer is clear, yes. Not because we must repeat the rituals of Leviticus, but because God still seeks hearts that offer recognition, memory, honor, and praise. True gratitude costs something. It costs pride. It costs forgetfulness. It costs constant complaining. But what it produces is immense. So the question is no longer only theological. It becomes personal. Is your gratitude a superficial habit or a true sacrifice before God?